Good evening, everybody. My name is Bert Dicht. I am Vice President of Membership of the National Space Society. And on behalf of Larry Ahern, Vice President of Chapters, I'd like to welcome you to our Space Forum this evening, Expanding Frontiers, Astropreneurship in South Texas. And I think you're going to find it very interesting. So again, I thank you for joining us in our series of virtual space forums and town halls. It's been a few weeks since our last one. I will be talking about what's coming up next, so just stay tuned for that. And as always, I'd like to do a quick agenda. We'll do some virtual etiquette, some announcements, then I'll talk about the upcoming space forums and town halls, and we'll get right into the program, and then we'll adjourn for the evening. So in terms of our virtual etiquette, you know the routine. If you would like to submit a question, use the Q&A function. That works best because it goes right to us and it's easy to sort them out and get it right to our speaker. But you can also use the chat function. But again, the chat function has the ability to be seen by everyone depending on what you select. So I do encourage you to be respectful of the panelists, speaker, and the audiences who are watching tonight. But you can also use the chat function to put a question in. It is typically best to view the session in speaker mode, and then also that allows you to see the screen as well that the speaker is sharing. So now I do want to make a quick announcement about what's coming up at the end of May. And that is our International Space Development Conference, our ISDC, with the theme of living in space. And it's it's our big annual event. This is the 40th annual ISDC, 27 to 29 May at the Hyatt Regency, Crystal City in Arlington, Virginia. We've got a great program for you. You see just a few of the many featured speakers that are going to be there. And we've got a lot of sessions on space settlement, space policy, the moon, Mars, just so many different key topics related to space settlement. So join us. For me, it's going to be great to see people in person and not just see people as pixels on a screen. So I'm really looking forward to it. I hope you can join us. Register today. And we hope to see you there in Arlington coming up. So also, I do like to remind everybody to please give to our cause. If you're enjoying the program like this, we encourage you to make a donation to the National Space Society. We know you're members as well. We really appreciate all you do to support the NSS and the work we're doing. And if you have a chance, make a donation, all tax deductible, of course. I will put that link into the chat. And so now I want to just cover, oh, sorry, one thing I forgot, complete the post-space forum survey. Only takes a few minutes right after the session's over. Once you exit, it's anonymous, and your feedback has already helped us in planning future events. We got some great comments back, some great ideas and so on, and we really appreciate the feedback. So what's coming up next? We are still working on our schedule as we move forward. But the next immediate space forum is next week, Thursday, 7 April, legal perspectives on space activities. And this is going to be a panel session with NSS President Michelle Hanlon and several of her legal fellows. And you can see there, we've got, you probably met them last year if you participated. We had a great session last year that just explained what they're doing as NSS legal fellows. But now we're going to take a deeper dive. So we hope you can join us. And then coming up after that, we're working for a session on the 21st and going into May. We're just trying to lock in our speakers. So you'll be hearing more about that as we lead up to the ISDC and post-ISDC for all these upcoming space forums. So thank you for joining us again tonight. I would like to get right into our program, and I'll be turning it over to our speaker. The topic again is expanding frontiers, astropreneurship in South Texas. Our speaker tonight is Dr. Fredrick Jenet, the founder and executive director of Expanding Frontiers. Dr. Jenet is an MIT Caltech trained astrophysicist who turned into a space entrepreneur. And he has more than 25 years experience in space exploration and development. He has secured over $50 million in funding for space-related R&D and other projects. So I think you're going to find this very interesting, because this is all the basis of what we call NewSpace. And I know Expanding Frontiers was instrumental in helping SpaceX choose its location there in South Texas. So we're looking forward to a great session. So Rick, if okay if I call you Rick, and we'll turn it over to you.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Bert. As soon as you turned it over to me, my computer decided to reorient all the screens.
Should be.
So just give me a second here.
Not a problem.
I found it. Share screen, and I believe we're good to go. Can everyone see that?
We see it. Thanks, Rick. Yep.
Awesome. Okay. Well, I'm really excited to be here. Thank you so much, Bert, for organizing this. Thank you so much, Anita Gale, for inviting me to this forum to be able to tell everyone a little bit more about what's happening in South Texas, at least when it comes to space exploration and development. So my name is Fredrick Jenet, and I'm here to talk about Expanding Frontiers. Expanding Frontiers is a nonprofit 501c3 organization dedicated to creating and fostering the innovation ecosystem in South Texas and the nation. In short, we're inspiring Astropreneurs, a new breed of entrepreneurs focused on the space industry, ready to take on the challenges of the third age of space exploration and development, the age where private industry sets their eyes on the solar system. Let's see if I can, with all that, can I advance the slides? Aha, very good. So, let's see. So Expanding Frontiers is a federally recognized as a leading innovation center that fosters the commercialization of advanced space and energy technologies. Besides the Federal Laboratory Consortium Award recognition, EXF was chosen as one of 20 incubator accelerators across the country to receive an EPIC prize sponsored by the Department of Energy. Also, we are one of 7 programs in the nation to win the EDA STEM Challenge Award for its apprenticeship program. In addition, NASA's JSC Tech Center office has communicated to us that our Entrepreneur in Residence Apprenticeship Program is one of the most successful programs of its kind it has ever seen. And with that, as of the middle of last year, we signed a Space Act agreement with NASA, making us a concierge of NASA Tech, giving our Astropreneurs special access to NASA Tech as they create new startup companies around space technologies. Also, I want to mention, hot off the presses, as of Monday, we signed a memorandum of agreement with Texas A&M International University, paving the way to offer their students access to EXF entrepreneurship programs and moving towards Texas A&M certification of our existing programs, and the creation of a new online international executive leadership seminar in space commercialization, designed to introduce professionals to the space industry and to space entrepreneurship. Please stay tuned for more details in the coming months of that program. But before continuing, I have to take a few moments to thank our local sponsors. First, the Brownsville Community Improvement Corporation and the City of Brownsville. Their help and support is making everything that we're doing possible. Shout out to Josh and Helen. Thank you so much for all your support. So who are we? We're a group of people that believe in the future of space exploration and development and the value that this endeavor brings to all facets of the human experience. We're entrepreneurs, students, teachers, veterans, engineers, physicists, media experts, business executives, and investors, developing a community around space technology, whether for space or on Earth, requires a wide range of talents. If you're dedicated and hardworking, most likely you can contribute and play a role in the new space economy. At Expanding Frontiers, we run several programs that engage the community and enable us to see ourselves as being part of the next chapter in human space exploration and development. We run such programs as the Entrepreneur in Residence Apprenticeship Program, also known as the ERA program, the Space Entrepreneur Summer Academy for high school students, the Space Coders Internship Program, the Space Settlement Design Tournament, the Veteran Dissension Program, and the EXF Internship Program. All of these programs are designed so that the community can see themselves as active participants in this new space economy. And for more information on anything that I'm talking about today, please go visit our website, which you'll see the address on the page being displayed here, www.expandingfrontiers.org. Now, Expanding Frontiers is physically located in Brownsville, Texas. And I thought I'd throw up a map because not everyone knows where Brownsville, Texas is. When we say South Texas, some people think maybe Houston or San Antonio, but we're really South Texas, pretty much as far south as you can get, right where the Rio Grande Valley meets the Gulf of Mexico. And we're located at the historic Pan American Terminal building at the Brownsville Airport. Interesting historical note, this terminal building was inaugurated by none other than Charles Lindbergh and Amelia Earhart. And now the building is continuing to play a role in aviation history as the home of Expanding Frontiers. Over the last several years, of course, our content has been delivered online, and we've become very good at delivering online content and hybrid content. But fingers crossed, we hope that we can transition back more and more into in-person programming and events that would happen at our physical facilities. So I thought I'd give a little bit of a history, maybe as they say, our origin story. And this started about 17 years ago, basically when I fell in love with South Texas. I saw the opportunity to do what I love to do, which is explore space, but also have an impact in the community. And it started with education at the University of Texas Brownsville, now the University of Texas Rio Grande Valley, where we created several programs to inspire students to see themselves as participating actively in space exploration and development. We had, this included the Arecibo Remote Command Center, which brought the world's largest radio telescope to South Texas. Now, this was back in the day, long before remote control of systems and all of these remote meetings are commonplace. This was back when this was just getting recognized and just being on the edge of capability. And we had students in South Texas that were controlling the Arecibo Observatory and other major observatories all around the Earth, and contributing in a meaningful way to the scientific output of those institutions. But that put us in a great position that when a fairly successful NewSpace startup company was nosing around the region to find its new home, we were actually able to not only have some words to convince them that they should come here, but also be able to create a way in which we could work together. So this brought about the creation known as Stargate, the Spacecraft Tracking and Astronomical Research into Astrophysical Gigahertz Transient Emission. The Stargate program was to be an innovation center for new space and to have facilities co-located with the SpaceX Launch Control Command Center that would be out in Boca Chica Beach. As you can see here, this was an artist's rendition of the facilities that were to be built, and this became a reality about 3 years ago when we opened up the facility. So, what are the next steps? We had great community involvement, exciting them with space. Managed to bring one of the most successful companies in this area to the region. So now, what are we going to do? How are we going to best leverage having all this excitement about the space industry here in South Texas? Well, welcome to Expanding Frontiers. That's what we do. We leverage the success that's going on in South Texas, and we want to make sure that every citizen of the region that has the desire can find a way into this industry and can find a way contributing in new space in one way or another. And that's what all our programs are developed around. Now, when we were thinking through our strategy, as we continually do, one of the things we realized is, it is extremely important that we have, in some way, a presence of the National Space Society here in South Texas. And that led to the development of the South Texas chapter. Recently formed in cooperation with Expanding Frontiers, the National Space Society South Texas chapter is continuing the mandate of the National Space Society, getting people involved in this concept of space development and settlement. This chapter, I believe, was formed about a year or so ago, and it is growing and continuing to evolve. Of course, any people from the South Texas region that is interested in becoming a part of the NSS South Texas chapter, the QR code is right there. Please go ahead and look into us more. So, of course, this brings me back to the various programs that we have and that we're developing. This gives you a sort of a map of what's going on. I'll go into some of the programs, but I don't think I'll have time to talk about everything that we are doing. One particular program that I want to point out is called Space Settlement Design Tournament. This tournament is based on the famous Space Settlement Design Competitions that were created by Anita Gale and her colleagues. It's the only officially sanctioned version of the competition/tournament in the South Texas region, and it is we work closely with the competition founders and creators to bring a tournament scenario of the Space Settlement Design Competitions to the region, so that we can get as many students involved, high school students involved in these programs. So if you are a high school student that is interested in seeing more and interested in what it takes to be a part of the space industry and develop plans for a space settlement in an environment that models very much what happens in industry, please join us. The next Space Settlement Design is going to be April 21st to the 24th. Go to the website and please register. So again, this is our QR code. So if you're interested in the Space Settlement Design Tournament, I definitely encourage you to join us and register on our site. Another program that we run, a very exciting program. It's called the Expanding Frontiers Space Coders Program. In this program, we recruit coders that are interested in understanding how to develop software for the tech industry and for the space industry. We work with teams of these coders to enter various challenges, coding challenges that are offered throughout the United States and internationally. And we mentor the team so that they can be successful. They can submit their application to be successful in these tournaments. Many times these tournaments have monetary prizes, and of course those monetary prizes get split with across the board with all the members of the team. So if you are a coder or you're interested in coding and you're interested in learning how to code for the space industry, please join the Space Coders group. There's the QR code on the screen here. Of course, all of this information is on our website, www.expandingfrontiers.org. So please feel free to look any of these programs up. I want to talk about Residence Apprenticeship Program. This is our flagship program where we get aspiring Astropreneurs. Those are entrepreneurs that want to develop space technology in one way or another. We give them the tools that they need to start their enterprise, teach them the basics of starting a company, teach them the basics of analyzing their markets, teach them a little bit about analyzing technology as well. And of course, one of the real value adds to the program is because of our Space Act agreement with NASA, we connect our apprentices directly with NASA technology. We do some curating to make sure that the technology is one that can be commercialized and also matches the skill set of the team that's interested. So last year we had the first of our apprentices that went through and basically formed 5 companies that are all around NASA technologies. And these 5 companies pitched at the Expanding Frontiers pitch competition that we had in December of last year, competing for about $12,000 in prize money that could be used for seed funding for their budding companies. So again, if we have any Astropreneurs out there that are or interested Astropreneurs, I like to say no idea is necessary. So unlike other incubator accelerators where they kind of expect you to have a company already and ideas of where you want to move forward, we work with sort of pre-seed ideas. We work with Astropreneurs that have the interest and have the work ethic to really move forward, but not exactly sure what to work on, and we help and guide you through it. So, and lastly, I want to talk about our Space Entrepreneur Summer Academy. This is our 3-week immersion program where we get high school students that are interested in space development, and we work with them throughout the 3 weeks, exposing them to all aspects of space entrepreneurship and development. And at the end of this, not only do they have the 3-week immersion, but with a select few, we actually continue to work with them in our space entrepreneurship internship program, so that we can continue to work and guide them throughout the year and make sure that they actually continue on in the space industry. So with that, I'd like to turn it over to any questions that people may have. Hopefully I'll be able to answer. But thank you so much for listening to me, and welcome to Expanding Frontiers.
Rick, I see a question in the chat for you.
Oh, sorry, here.
I haven't looked. Oh, it looks like there's one in Q&A also.
Let me just get ready here. Well, sorry about that delay there. Had a momentary freeze on my computer.
Excellent. Let's see. Which professions and industries do you feel are lacking late coming in the NewSpace ecosystem? That is an interesting question, and I'm not exactly sure I have thought about that one. But I would say, actually, yeah, okay. In thinking about that a little bit, I'd almost say that the ones that are late coming into the space ecosystem may very well be the business side of things, because although there are a lot of people that are beginning to realize the business aspects of it, predominantly the space industry has been, of course, engineers, physicists, scientists, and those groups. So I think it's only been in recent times, and there's good reason for this, because it's in recent times it's becoming more and more, the technology is becoming ripe now that businessmen and women can start to think about how they can start to commercialize ideas in space and using technology for space. So that's probably one area. So I think I'll stick with that. Let's see. We have how did you become interested in space? Well, that's an interesting question. I have to say it was something that came when I was really young. I grew up in maybe was the first golden age of space exploration and development for the United States, during the 1970s when the Apollo missions were still were flying. So I was basically caught up in that and all the science fiction, related science fiction that was going on about that. So Star Trek, Star Wars, all of that, I ate it up as a kid. And I knew that I really wanted to help humanity move forward and become a spacefaring community.
Rick, kind of a follow-up to that, you talked about getting interested in space, but what was the transition that led to going from an astrophysicist to an entrepreneur?
Basically inspired by many of the astropreneurs or the famous entrepreneurs that were starting to get into the space industry. So when I started, the paradigm for being involved in space was that you basically had to go through government institutions or universities. That's the way space was done. There was no other alternative. So you were either going to go, work for big industry as an engineer, perhaps NASA, or university. That was it. So I went the university route. I became a professor, and of course loved my work there. And I was mostly writing proposals and grants. But now I kind of saw, together with many people, that the landscape is changing. NASA was starting to push its technology out to the private sector, promoting more and more that there should be private sector involvement. The U.S. government was also starting to promote private development of space. So it was something that very much excited me, this new paradigm for doing space exploration and development. So I wanted to be involved.
Just in terms of the skill sets or the attributes or what makes up an entrepreneur or astropreneur, how do you, obviously they come from all walks of life. It's not just space, but so what do you think makes a good astropreneur?
So,
An effective one?
Yeah, I know, right? So in some of the ideas or some of the concepts I've seen that make a good entrepreneur, I think one of the first and foremost things is being a team player. There is no way that one individual can have all the skills that you need in order to create a successful venture. So especially in entrepreneurship, where the engineering and technical requirements are so important to understand the technology, to be able to evaluate the technology. There'll be a set of people on the team that can do that, but because they have to have such a deep understanding of that technology, just in order to be able to know if it's going to work, they're not going to have the business. They're not going to have the deep understanding of business to be able to work with that. They're not going to have the deep legal understanding or the finance understanding to build a company. So you have to be able to work in teams. You have to be able to, understand where your limitations are and say, all right, I love space, but my background is in law. I can't do the tech, so I'm going to find somebody that can do the tech with me. Similarly, or I'm a finance person, I'm going to find the people that can, round out my issues and problems. I don't want to put it that way, issues and problems. Round out my skills, round out my skill set. That's the way I should say that. And one of the things we do at Expanding Frontiers is we help entrepreneurs do that. We have a specific part of our program where the entrepreneurs will take a good look at, what they've done so far in the program, take a good look at themselves, and they'll say, all right, I need these skills on my team, and then we encourage them to go out and find those people that can be part of their team and bring those people onto their team. So definitely, I think the most important thing is team building, and the ability to take direction, in the sense that you understand that there's no way they could possibly, going back to that, no way you could possibly know everything that you need to know, and you're going to have to get advisors, good advisors that can help you. With your company, and so you have to be able to, listen to your advisors and understand that there's going to be a lot of days where you screwed up, or you messed up, or there's something was wrong, and you just have to brush yourself off, take the criticism, figure out what was done right, what was done wrong, and move forward with that.
That's kind of a nice lead into one of the questions that was submitted by those our participants who registered. They wanted to know, do you keep your track records, successes, and obviously you don't always have successes, failures. How do you compartmentalize all that?
That is a great question. I don't know if it's necessary. Do you want to compartmentalize it? Because yeah, I mean, one does get beat up. There are the successes, and then there are the times where it's like, wow, that went extraordinarily the wrong way. So really, I would say it's good to have a strong network of people that are on your side. I mean, both professionally, have a good network of mentors, people you trust that know on your side, but also personally, having your friends, having your family, having a strong foundation with your personal life, your family, and your friends. So there are going to be those days when it's like, oh God, this didn't work, and you just got to go home, and you got to be in the company of the friends who aren't judging you and they love you for who you are. And that's going to help you wake up the next day. And then, of course, when you wake up the next day, as they always say, you kind of have to forget about everything that happened bad yesterday, and you just plow on forward. But this is part of the excitement of it. It's like the toughest job you'll ever love. It has these ups and downs, but it really does. It really does help to refine the individual, I would say, and help them be a better person in general.
Right. Let me alternate between some of the questions that have been submitted live here tonight and also on when people registered. I have a question from Henry about any links to the Department of Defense.
So now, does that mean any links that NewSpace has to the Department of Defense, or specifically, or are we talking expanding frontiers, or?
Probably just from the standpoint of Astropreneurship. It doesn't read. I don't know, Henry, if you want to add in. Maybe I can turn your mic on if you'd like, and see if we want to ask that question. Let me see if we can do that for him. Let's see. I'll try to do that. Everybody, just hold on a second. And I just got to find Henry.
So, while you're doing that, Bert, we have a
Okay.
question. We have a question in chat.
Okay.
This should be a short one. What are the dates and month of the 2022 Summer Academy?
Yes. So that's going to take place in July. It's going to be the last 3 weeks in July. Let me see. I think I had that. I hope I have this slide here. Oh, actually, I didn't have this slide on that yet because we just brought that out. So yeah, it's going to be the last 3 weeks in July, and definitely go on. If you register online, you should see the dates. But I think we need to get that information up there.
Good. Henry, I think you are live now. Did you want to take a little deeper dive into that question?
I was specifically thinking about exploring frontiers, but I'm also curious if you have a broader perspective on that, because the Department of Defense, of course, certainly does more than just straight warfighting military operations when it comes to space. Thank you.
Sure. So at the moment, expanding frontiers, I mean, we do have, we keep an eye on what's going on with Department of Defense calls. There's DIUX and I think NXTSL, which are various groups associated with DoD that are basically, they help bring together professionals that are interested in developing space, and especially space for the warfighter and all of that. Some of our companies are, engaged with aspects of the Department of Defense. So there's, I guess you'd say, arm's length working with the DoD. But in general, the DoD is very interested in the commercial space arena, very interested in what's being developed commercially, and I know they have their eyes on stuff, trying to see what's available in various, what technology is being developed and what they could partner up with And there are a lot of programs that are helping to foster that dialogue.
Very good. I've got a question from Lisa. What date is the MOU with Texas A&M effective? And also asking, is there any grant funding with the DOE for biofuel sustainable renewable energy?
Well, the MOA, Memorandum of Agreement with Texas A&M, is effective as of this week, Monday. So it was literally just signed. We're very excited about that and what that will bring. And as for specific grant funding on biofuels and that kind of stuff, I'm not privy to the most recent information on that one.
Okay. Let me go back to one of the questions that was submitted beforehand. And this one really, you mentioned about all the work you're doing with students. And so what prerequisites do any students need to qualify for your program?
So for the Space Entrepreneur Summer Academy, basically high school students that are interested in exploring careers in space exploration and development. Because we know that, especially now with this whole commercial space paradigm, we're looking for broad interest. So of course, people interested, the science and the engineering, very important. We want those students. But there's also students that are interested in business, students that are interested in finance, law. All of those interests will find a place in this new economy. We're definitely interested in working with them and exposing them to the different facets of commercial space. So yeah, it's basically we're interested in students that have an interest in space exploration and development. For the Space Entrepreneur Summer Academy, for the Entrepreneur and Residence Apprenticeship Program, that's our Astropreneurship program. We're looking for students probably late undergraduates, so juniors or seniors, or recently graduated professionals that are interested in entrepreneurship, that are interested in developing a company and a technology that is related to space exploration and development. So again, having the interest and being, the willingness to work hard to make it happen. If you have those, we're interested in you.
Good. I know there were some questions that also were coming into chat, so I don't want to ignore those. I'll get one from, let's see, I'm just scanning here. One from Francis.
Yeah.
Oh, hold on, I'll get that one, Anita. Please explain.
That's the only one.
Well, that's the only one? Okay. Please explain about the path of Astropreneurs now in terms of ease of entry into the arena. Is it easier to be an Astropreneur now, or say 5 years than it was 5 years ago?
So I would say that it's easier and it's getting easier. And the reasons for that, more and more the institutions are recognizing the importance of the private actor. And more now they started to, but the culture, I think the culture started to change from the top when the U.S. space policy came out in 2010, I believe, and of course NASA in the early 2005, 6s and stuff like that. They started to realize that that private space was an important part, is going to be an important part, but it takes a while for the culture to change, as we know, and for really it to be embraced. And I think more and more, the tech transfer offices at the national labs have more experience and becoming better adapted and equipped to help entrepreneurs. But also an important part that has changed over 5 years is the funding landscape and the funding situation. Most importantly, because there have been some important exits in space companies, so that investors can see, oh wait, this isn't a 50-year thing that we're talking about. This is a more near-term endeavor. So because the funding landscape has changed, both because of the exits, also because of some regulation changes that have happened. There's this concept of crowdfunding, where you can get a large group of people together to fund and stuff. There's several websites that do this. Matter of fact, one of the ones that we're working with, Space Ventures, is focused on space funding. A regulation had changed that now they can raise $5 million. It used to be that you could only do that crowdsourcing paradigm with $1 million, which wasn't necessarily enough to bring space companies over the hump. Where now with the larger cap, it's easier now for entrepreneurs to get access to funding. So both with the paradigm shift in institutions such as NASA and the various national labs, and the funding landscape changing, I think it's gotten easier for Astropreneurs, and it's also going to continue to get easier as this stuff works out and more exits happen and more funding. More investors realize there's opportunities here.
Great. We've got a lot of questions in, and I know a couple people have their hands up, so I will try to get to everybody if I can. Question that was submitted to Q&A from Randy wants to know about any grants and incentives that are being offered for industries that choose to move their operation to South Texas.
So yes, there are. There definitely are. Fortunately, the city of Brownsville has embraced this concept of NewSpace. NewSpace City Brownsville, I like to say, and riffing off of Space City Houston. And there definitely are incentives, and I encourage any companies that are interested in having some operations down here to contact the city of Brownsville. I'll also, at Expanding Frontiers, we'll also be happy to work with you to sort of give you a lay of the land and what can happen down here in South Texas. So definitely, I'd love to talk to you. We'd love to talk to you, and I know the city of Brownsville would love to talk to you.
Kind of a follow-up on that, Rick. Someone wanted to know the impact to the local economy around Starbase and Boca Chica.
So we're definitely sort of just beginning to see that, but the impact due to Starbase right now has been a huge influx of high-paying jobs, much more than what had been in the past, and we're seeing a lot of development that is reflecting that. We're seeing, over the last 5 years, the different things growing around that. You can see the restaurants. Different restaurants are coming in. Different level of the restaurants are coming in, which I consider to be a key indicator that's that there is a higher clientele that is now being involved. Also, various other community works projects and so forth that are happening around the city as it evolves. So you can definitely see that there is. Now, in terms of actual numbers, I don't have those yet, but definitely want to. We definitely want to have those as we move forward in the coming years.
Great.
But I can definitely see empirically that there is change that's happening.
Right. Question from John wants to know a little bit more about what's going on with radio astronomy in the area.
Oh, well, let's see. So this is harkening back to my academic days. And we had several phased array projects that were being developed, low frequency phased array projects that were in the South Texas area, at least part of built off of technology of something known as the long wavelength array, which is in New Mexico. And so in the Port Mansfield area, this array was being, one of those stations of that array was being done there. But a lot of the radio astronomy work is more on data analysis from large observatories that are elsewhere, and not necessarily in the South Texas region, other than the facility that I was just mentioning.
Great. Got a question from Carl. Any plans for you to go into space yourself, maybe with SpaceX or one of the other companies?
Well, unfortunately, no solid plans yet, but I'm definitely willing if anyone will take me.
If you need an assistant, let me know.
Will do. Will do.
Question from Bob. How does the Expanding Frontiers work with the venture community or connect with venture community groups like Techstars? And are there other universities involved?
So great question. We are continually growing our network of investors as well as university partners. We have, let's see, on our Investors and Mentors board, we have members of the Rio Grande Valley Angel Group. That's a group of local investors. We have different investment groups represented there, but we're always willing to. We always definitely want to grow this network. So anyone that has contacts and knows investors that are interested in being a part of what's happening here, definitely want to talk to them. As for universities, we work closely with the University of Texas Rio Grande Valley and their Center for Advanced Radio Astronomy. We also work recently, of course, with Texas A&M International University. We are in the process of putting an MOU together with Sam Houston State up in Houston. So we are, so we're growing our network and fostering a lot of interaction and development between different groups here in South Texas, but also up along the coast to Houston.
Great. Got a question from Lewis, who has raised his hand. So Lewis, I'm going to allow you to use the mic. So all you need to do is unmute.
Oh.
There you go. You're ready.
Awesome. Hello. I think the raising of my hand was actually an accident, but I did have a question while I've got the spotlight. And if I'm a student or aspiring entrepreneur who is extremely interested in NewSpace development and exploration, but I'm not located in the Rio Grande Valley, what are the ways that I can be involved and still contribute?
Awesome, great question. So, well, we know that COVID has done a lot for many of us in many different ways, and one of those, of course, is enhancing our ability to do virtual presentations, but also virtual involvement and virtual interactions and so forth. And EXF has actually become very good at doing virtual hybrid programs. So our first cohort of the Entrepreneur and Residence Apprenticeship Program was actually done as a hybrid program. And many of the cohort participants did join virtually, even though they were local. And we did actually have someone from Arizona join in as a sort of a pilot, so we could see how that would go. So I can very confidently say that we can handle hybrid programs. We've done many of them, and we definitely want to we encourage participation from people outside of the region. So if you are interested and you're not in South Texas, don't worry about that. Please apply to our programs, and we will get you involved.
Awesome.
Great.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Lewis. Let me take a few more questions that were submitted here. So Carl is asking about the cost and requirements for the Summer Academy.
So let's see. I don't have the costs offhand. There is a cost for the students. Typically, we fundraise for that. Working with local community organizations such as HEB, which is a big Texas grocery store. We also work with Project Space, which is another nonprofit in the area that provides scholarships for students interested in space exploration and development. So one way or another, if students apply, we try to get, and if they don't have the means to pay the tuitions and stuff, we work very hard to try to get them funded.
Great. I'm going to get a couple questions, and I have Larry, who has had his hand up for a while, and he's been very patient. So I'll get to you in a second, Larry. I got a question from Henry, who kind of ties in what your talk and next week's talk. Recognizing that NSS will soon host a session on legal aspects of space activities, are there one or more resources that you can go to concerning all legal aspects of space, both for your organization in general and for individual entrepreneurs?
That is an excellent question. It's not necessarily it isn't my area of expertise, but whenever I have such a question, actually, I go to the president of the NSS, Michelle Hanlon. she's my expert on all things space law. And so I don't know if she's on the call now, if she could answer that, but she would be my go-to person for that question.
We'll save that question too for next week. So let me get one more question that was submitted, and this one comes from Dave. With more countries having their own space programs, do you see NewSpace competing, cooperating, contracting with, or creating their own path in coming space activities?
Wow, yes. The governments are still going to play an important role in space development. They're still going to be one of the major customers and one of the major drivers of space development. So space entrepreneurs are going to be working with government and government contracts for a while to come. Yeah, so I think it's fantastic to see other countries that weren't normally playing in the space arena getting involved, and more we're seeing that, and that's going to be an important role, and it's going to be an important way for entrepreneurs to get the needed funding that they for their enterprises.
Great. Okay, Larry, I'm going to let you. I see your hand has been up for a while, so why don't you ask your question?
Yeah. Well, the first one I asked, when you're talking about Astro Entrepreneurs, have you ever met one of the original Astro Entrepreneurs? The guy that's probably one of the person that started, Nick Diamandis.
Oh no, I have not met him. Of course, we know a lot about him, but no, I've not had the opportunity to meet him.
He started he started the whole problem, asked, about all these your programs that that defined Astro Entrepreneur originally. The other question is I have is you have a veterans program, knowing that the modern military is highly technical. A lot of these veterans coming out of here have skill sets that how are you utilizing in your veterans program?
Oh, excellent. Well, I think you kind of hit the nail on the head right there when you said that a lot of these veterans are coming out with skill sets that are almost ideal for space entrepreneurship. And so we have something called the Veteran Dissension Program that was founded by a veteran that was working closely with us. And his vision was to basically work with recent veterans that are just coming out of the armed forces, the armed services, and sort of help them transition into civilian life and putting their skills to use. And so the program is still one of our key programs, and we work with sort of the regional veterans groups to get them involved and working with us. I think right now we have about 3 or 4 veterans that have been working with us pretty strongly over the last few years, but we definitely want to grow that.
You need to get a hold of somehow the Veterans Administration. They have programs for these sort of things like this, and that's funding that you can utilize.
Yes, definitely.
Rick, I was taking a look at the website, and just wondering, for those of us that are not entrepreneurs, I saw you have like mentors and students there. How can we get involved? What you're doing sounds so interesting and so impactful.
So, well, there are several ways. So for for non-entrepreneurs or those that, that just that want to, stay involved and understand what's going on in the space industry and involved, that's what we have our National Space Society South Texas chapter, so that we can interact with and work with, just exactly you said, people that want to be involved, want to see what's going on with space, but don't necessarily want to, dedicate their time as an entrepreneur. So through that, we're able to work with that part of the community. And of course, we do have several events that we invite. We'll have EXF will have their own guest speakers that we will invite the community to, and we'll have. Although this is entrepreneurship, our pitch competitions where is open to the community for people to come and see what's going on. So.
Very good. So what's next for your organization? Where do you see it in next year, 5 years?
So I would say that as we're growing the number of companies startup companies that we're working with, we're going to have a good solid base of space startups, many of which will have moved on in their funding cycle, which will then feed back into EXF, enabling us to kind of grow and expand our programs and getting more students involved, exposing more students in the area, and getting more entrepreneurs involved. So definitely looking forward to that. And also something that we're doing is we're strategically working with groups up in Houston, especially the Houston Spaceport, as I mentioned, Sam Houston State and some of the other universities there, so that we can start to develop this concept of a space corridor, where we're developing, space tech all throughout the Gulf region, from Brownsville up into Houston. So stay tuned for more that would be developed on that as well.
Great. I see another question that came in actually through the chat from Bob, and this kind of follow on to my question here. Do you take volunteers to participate in the pitch competitions? Volunteers that have backgrounds in venture and startups.
Yes, and yes. We also have a mentor investor program, where one of the key aspects of a startup is getting good mentors that can help work with the entrepreneurs. And so I think we currently have a group of about 20 or so professionals across the board, technical professionals, investor professionals, and so forth, that are mentoring our groups, and we definitely are interested in volunteers to grow that program. So if you're interested in that, definitely get in contact with me, send an email, look on the site. Matter of fact, I had before was showing my email address, fjenet@expandingfrontiers.org. So yeah, please reach out. We have a place for you.
Great. Let's see, any other questions, everybody? We actually covered quite a few questions, so I want to see if there's any final ones that we might have. And if not, really thank you so much, Rick. That was really interesting. I think it's a fascinating topic, and it gives us a glimpse into an area of space settlement that we are not typically involved with. So really appreciate you taking the time out to join us tonight, and especially to answer so many of our questions. And before I adjourn, I'd like to see if our COO, Anita Gale, would like to just say a few words. Anita?
Oh, CEO. I'm in a different room than usual. So the lighting isn't very good here. I apologize. You need to fix this. Yeah, and Rick, thank you so much for joining us. I've known Rick for a few years. And by the way, he mentioned this Space Settlement Design Tournament. This is Space Settlement Design Competition without the constraints on going to the finals. If anyone anywhere is interested in involving high school students in space settlement design, Rick has created the model for how to do that anywhere. And I mean, literally the format that Rick caused us to develop for Brownsville can be deployed anywhere in the United States. So thank you for mentioning that, Rick. These space forums, I've said it before, are a great resource and an asset for members of the National Space Society and non-members as well. If you're not a member, please consider joining. The executive committee and the board are actually looking at making some of these available to members only. So that's to encourage you to join and continue to have this wonderful investment or a wonderful opportunity. And a lot of exciting things happening in the National Space Society that we're looking forward to sharing with you. Appreciate everyone coming into this and love the questions. Thank you so much. I don't know that there's anything else I'd like to add. Just thank you for coming. Please help support the National Space Society. These kinds of programs do, even though it's on Zoom, there is some investment involved in maintaining these sorts of things and offering other opportunities. Well, I'd like to mention, Bert mentioned the International Space Development Conference is coming up in Arlington, Virginia. There may be a few programs live stream, but most of the program will be in person only. If you want to benefit from all of those speakers, you need to be in person. The executive committee decided just last night that the the early bird rate is going to continue until April 15th. And after that, we go up to a higher rate. So if you want to get in on the less expensive rate for registration and meals, you want to register in the next 2 weeks. Okay, thank you. Back to Bert.
Thank you so much, Anita. And again, I just want to thank our guest tonight, Rick Jenet, for just a really interesting discussion. And again, if you'd like to know more, feel free to reach out to Rick and check out the website. A lot of great information on Expanding Frontiers website. So thank you again, Rick. We really appreciate it. I'd also like to extend my thanks to Larry Ahern, my colleague, NSS and Vice President of Chapters, and also Fred Becker, as always, who handles all of our tech support for these great space forums. So as we close out, I just want to share my screen one more time and just thank everybody for joining us this evening. We really appreciate it. Again, as Anita mentioned and I mentioned, we hope to maybe see you at the ISDC, but we know we'll see you again next week with our legal fellows. And so again, for tonight, thank you for attending. Have a great evening for those in these time zones. I know we always get some that are in tomorrow's time zone, so have a great day and have a great weekend and stay safe, everybody, and we'll see you next week. So thank you so much. Take care, everybody.